It has been a remarkable effort in the way that the evacuations were carried out and the way that thousands of lives have been saved. Odisha's Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik speaks to my colleague Ankita Mukherjee. Joining us tonight on the Buck Stops Here weekend is the Odisha Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik. Mr. Patnaik, thank you for giving us your time. We know you must be busy in the aftermath of Cyclone Phailin, but may I begin by congratulating you and your government for being able to minimize casualties and for carrying out what seems to be India's largest evacuation operation to date. But hours before the cyclone was to hit, you told officials and the administration to ensure zero casualties. Is Naveen Patnaik a relieved man today?
I am indeed, because our first priority is to save precious lives. So, in fact, 5 kilometers away from the coastline, we evacuated more than 9 lakh people. That's almost 1 million people in 36 hours. So our first priority was to save precious human lives, and to a huge extent, I think, we have achieved that.
So the logistics of that, evacuating close to 9 lakh people in 36 hours, now that must have been quite staggering. What exactly did it entail? How many agencies were involved? Did you personally, in fact, oversee the process?
Indeed, I was. And as I told you, the people I've just thanked, which is our district administrations in particular, the people's representatives from the sarpanches upwards, all these people were of tremendous help. I'd also like to thank the Army and Navy for standing by.
Now, Mr. Patnaik, how difficult was it to ensure that nobody got left behind? Our reporters were out there speaking to people. We heard a lot of stories about how people wanted to take their chances. They wanted to spend Durga Puja, which is such a big festival in the East, in their own homes.
It was indeed. I mean, some people needed a great deal of convincing, but finally they did come away.
Now, once the threat of the cyclone was known, of course, your government acted with great speed and efficiency. But I want to ask you a somewhat different question. Do you believe this en masse evacuation of 9 lakh people, as you say, was absolutely necessary? Could there have been any other way to respond to Cyclone Phailin that wouldn't have entailed displacing quite so many people?
No, in fact, if you see your television footage, you'll see the amount of damage that's been done along the coastline. I mean, this was, the cyclone speed was more than 200 kilometers. There's been a great deal of destruction done to the kacha houses where the cyclone did hit. So it was necessary for the people to be removed. Otherwise, there would have been many, many casualties. You do understand that in the cyclone which hit the state in 1999, more than 10,000 people died.
All right. You know, these 9 lakh people who were evacuated, just how soon will it be safe for them to go back to their homes?
It's quite safe now, and a lot of them have started going back, and we are seeing, I don't think so, we had materials to their food and, of course, their medical supplies.
Mr. Patnaik, some environmentalists are now saying, and arguably this could be wisdom after the event, that no tidal surge studies were carried out to assess the actual extent of the flooding, given the wind speeds that were being talked about, the storm surge that was being talked about, and that could have provided vital information for the local administration. And perhaps such a massive evacuation process may not have been necessary. Do you agree?
Of course it does. We are very grateful for their accurate information, and we did have a couple of days to mount this huge operation.
Now, I believe that that's the IMD that you're in fact talking about. But do you also believe that it was possible, in fact, to launch an operation of this scale because of the advance warning? I think Mr. Patnaik just, in fact, did respond to that question. But what about, in a sense, the natural barriers that could have given protection from high-speed winds? Were those destroyed mangrove forests, sand dunes that have been taken down illegally? Could there have been a barrier at all?
We have kept those natural barriers, the mangrove forests and swamps, etc. But you must realize that in Ganjam, you don't have those particular natural barriers.
Okay, but do you also believe that the developments of all the new ports along the Odisha coastline have been detrimental in any way? Were those, trees being felled for even the POSCO project? Could any of these have contributed, been contributory factors?
I don't think so at all. Unfortunately, the Bay of Bengal has got its extremely turbulent history, and this has happened in several areas which touch the Bay of Bengal, from Bangladesh to our state to Andhra.
All right, Mr. Patnaik, what about the task ahead? You spoke of the rehabilitation that still needs to be done. Is that going to occupy your time now?
Well, you know that more than 2 lakh kacha houses have been damaged very badly. So we have to see to the rehabilitation of that for the people. And also we are assessing the crop damage that's happened.
All right, Mr. Naveen Patnaik, thank you very much indeed for speaking to NDTV.